Stop waiting. Start becoming. Welcome to Becoming with Beck, the podcast for those ready to shift their mindset, lead themselves, and manifest intentionally. If you know you're meant for more, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back to Becoming with Beck. I'm your host, Beck Robinson, and I'm so glad you're here today. I want to start today's episode with a moment, a really specific moment I keep coming back to. I was out in the paddock with my horse Wayno, and I'd had one of those days. You know, the ones where everything feels heavy, a little contracted, and you're going through the motions, but you're not really present? I walked out to him the way I always do, expecting him to come to me like he always does. And he just didn't. He looked at me and walked the other way. Now, a year ago, I would have taken that personally. I would have thought, great, even my horse doesn't want to be around me today. But in that moment, something landed differently. I realized he wasn't rejecting me. He was reading me. He was responding to exactly what was happening in my body, in my nervous system, in my energy field, and he was just being honest about it. And that moment cracked something open in me because I thought, this is the work. This right here is identity work. This is what I try to help people do in their lives, in their quiet moments of reflection. And this horse just did it in about 4 seconds. That's what today's episode is about, because I believe, and I mean this deeply, that horses are some of the greatest teachers available to us as human beings. And I want to explore why. The science behind it, the way it's being used in therapy and coaching today, and why I think the intersection of horses, nervous system work, and identity transformation is one of the most powerful and underexplored spaces in personal development. So let's get into it. First, I want to give you a little context about how horses are actually wired. Because once you understand this, everything else is going to make so much more sense. Horses are prey animals, and I don't just mean in a casual sense. I mean their entire nervous system, their entire way of being in the world has been shaped over millions of years by one core survival imperative. Don't get eaten. Unlike predators who have the luxury of planning, strategizing, going after what they want, prey animals have to be in a constant state of environmental awareness. They have to be able to read threat, assess safety, and respond instantly. Their survival depends on it. And the way they do this is what we know as the fight or flight response. When a horse perceives danger, whether that's an actual predator, a sudden movement, an unfamiliar sound, or even a shift in the energy of something nearby, their nervous system activates immediately. Adrenaline floods the body, heart rate spikes, muscles engage, and they either bolt or freeze, or in some cases they fight. This is the same stress response that lives in us as humans, the same physiological cascade. The same ancient wiring, except for horses, it's turned up to a level that we can actually see, because for them, getting it wrong means death. And here's where it gets really interesting for us, because horses don't respond to actual predators. They respond to energy, to emotional states, to the nervous system of everything around them. In the wild, a horse's ability to sense anxiety of another horse or the calm of a trusted herd leader could mean the difference between life and death. So they evolved to be extraordinarily sensitive to the internal states of the beings around them. They are, in the most literal sense, wired to feel what you're feeling before you've even named it yourself. And this is why spending time with a horse is the most confronting and the most healing experience available to us. Let me explain what I mean by horses as mirrors, because I think this is the concept that changes everything. When you interact with a horse, they are not responding to your words. They are not responding to your intentions. They are not responding to what you want to be true about yourself. They are responding to your nervous system, your posture, your breath, the micro signals your body is sending out that you might not even be aware of. If you walk into a paddock and your body is holding fear, maybe you don't even consciously feel afraid, but somewhere in you there's tightness, there's constriction, there's a low hum of anxiety. The horse will feel that, and they will respond accordingly. If you walk in trying to perform confidence, puffing yourself up on the outside while feeling uncertain on the inside, they'll feel that incongruence, because horses don't read the performance. They read the truth underneath it. And this is why I say that horses show us the gap between who we say we are and who we're actually being, the gap between our conscious self-concept and our nervous system's lived reality. For anyone doing identity work, for anyone who has been journaling affirmations, doing the visualizations, trying to step into the new version of themselves, this is incredibly valuable information. Because I can write, I'm confident, I'm abundant, I'm safe 1,000 times. But if your nervous system is still running old patterns of fear, scarcity, and contraction, your body is going to tell a different story. And the horse is going to feel it. They're not doing this to be cruel. They're doing this because it's the only language they have. They are simply, beautifully, incorruptibly honest. Wayno doesn't care about my vision board. He cares about my vibe. So this brings me to what's actually happening in the professional space around equine-assisted work, because this isn't just a concept. It's a growing evidence-based field that is changing the way we approach mental health, trauma, and personal development. Equine-assisted therapy, or EAT, and equine-assisted learning, EAL, are two of the main modalities being used today, and it's worth understanding the difference. Equine-assisted therapy is clinically led. It typically involves a licensed mental health professional working alongside a horse specialist to support people in things like trauma, PTSD, anxiety, depression, and attachment difficulties. The horse is an active participant in the therapeutic process, not just a backdrop, but a genuine co-facilitator. Equine-assisted learning is broader. It's used in coaching, leadership development, personal growth, and education. It's less clinical and more experimental, focused on self-awareness, communication, emotional regulation, and behavioral change. Both approaches are entirely ground-based, which surprises a lot of people. We tend to associate horses with riding, but the magic in this work doesn't happen in the saddle. It happens in the relationship, in the groundwork, in the space between you and a 500-kilogram animal that is completely tuned in to who you're being. Some of the outcomes that researchers and practitioners are seeing in this space include reduced cortisol levels, meaning measurable reductions in stress hormones after time spent with horses. Improved emotional regulation, because the process of co-regulating with a horse, of having to genuinely calm your own nervous system in order to connect with them, builds a real and embodied capacity for regulation. Increased self-awareness and self-trust, because when your emotions are being reflected back to you by something that can't be fooled, you start to develop a very honest relationship with your own inner world. And for people who have experienced trauma, particularly developmental or rational trauma where the source of the wound was another human being, horses offer something extraordinary. They offer connection without the complexity and risk of human relationship. They offer a kind of safety that for some people is genuinely easier to access with an animal than with a person. The research in this space is still growing, but what we're seeing is consistent. Time with horses in a supported and intentional environment shifts something, and I think we're only just beginning to understand why. Okay, so now I want to bring you back to the world that many of you came here for, because I know for a lot of you, manifestation and identity work is your language, and I want to show you exactly why horses belong in this conversation. At the heart of manifestation, real manifestation, not the fluffy vision board variety, is the idea that you cannot think your way into a new reality. You have to become it. You have to embody the version of you who already has what you desire. And that embodiment isn't just about mindset. It's about your nervous system. It's about your body. It's about the frequency you're actually living in, not just the one you're hoping to project. This is identity work, and it happens at a somatic level. Here's the thing that I see so often, and I've experienced this myself. We do all the right things on the surface. We set intentions, we do the journaling, we clear the blocks in our mind. But there's still a part of us, a deeper part, a body level part that hasn't caught up yet, that still carries the old stories, the old contractions, the old sense of unworthiness or scarcity or not enoughness. And that part is what horses reveal. Because when you stand in front of a horse and they walk away from you, that's information. When they come to you, when they follow you, when they soften in your presence, that's information too. Real-time, body-based, impossible to fake feedback about the state of your inner world. And when you learn to work with that, when you learn to regulate, to become present, to close the gap between who you're trying to be and who you're actually being in your body, something shifts. A new baseline is established. And from that new baseline, manifestation becomes not an act of wishful thinking, but a natural extension of who you've become. And this is why I believe that equine-assisted work and identity transformation are doing the same thing, just from different angles. And together, they are more powerful than either one alone. And I want to be honest with you, because honesty is the whole point of this conversation. I am not yet qualified in equine-assisted coaching or therapy. I'm at the beginning of this journey. I feel deeply called to it, and I'm holding the vision of where this is going while staying open to how it unfolds. But here's what I know to be true right now. Wayno has been teaching me for years. Every time I've walked into that paddock in a state that wasn't aligned, stressed, contracted, unregulated, he's shown me. And every time I've walked in present, grounded, genuinely connected to myself, he's met me there. He's followed me. He's softened. He's been the most honest mirror I've ever had. And I think that's been preparing me for something. I believe that the work I'm already doing, helping people shift their identity, regulate their nervous systems, trust themselves, and step into who they're becoming, has a new dimension available to it. One that involves being out in nature, in relationship with these extraordinary animals, doing the most real and embodied version of this work that I can imagine. And I don't have it all figured out. I'm not pretending to, but I'm paying attention. And I'm sharing this with you because I think some of you are going to feel this in your own bodies as you listen. Some of you are going to have your own Wayno, your own moment, your own version of this calling. And if that's you, I want you to know that you don't have to have it all figured out before you start moving toward it. You just have to be honest about where you are and stay open to where you're being led. So, to bring this all together, horses are prey animals wired to detect threat and safety through the nervous system of everything around them. This makes them extraordinary mirrors, capable of reflecting back our own emotional truth in real time, without filter, without agenda. This is being harnessed in therapeutic and coaching contexts around the world, with growing evidence that equine-assisted work shifts stress, builds regulation, increases self-awareness, and supports healing in ways that are genuinely difficult to replicate in a conventional room. And for those of us in the world of manifestation and identity transformation, horses offer something that no journal, no meditation, no visualization can fully replicate. They offer a living, breathing, incorruptibly honest reflection of who we're actually being, not who we're trying to be, not who we want to be, who we are right now in this body, in this moment. And that is where transformation actually happens. Thank you so much for being here today. This episode felt important to record, and I hope it landed for you the way it was meant to. If you have your own horse or you've had an experience with horses that you haven't been able to fully explain, I would love to hear from you. Come find me on Instagram and share it with me. And if this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. This conversation is just beginning, and I want as many people in it as possible. Until next time, keep becoming.